My name is Zoe May. I'm a junior at Texas A&M. So the Battalion is a student newspaper. It is currently entirely student run. It's the second oldest tradition on campus outside of the Corps with the Aggie Band. And so we've been here forever, and it's a tradition, it's a staple. We're one of the few student newspapers in the country that still prints too. I am a journalism major, and I am currently the editor-in-chief. So I've taken, I believe, 8 journalism courses now. There's a wide flexibility in making sure that everyone has a proper foundation to then go into the specialization that they desire. Outside of sports, politics, and just general news writing, there isn't as much flexibility. A lot of that is because there's a lack of faculty. There's definitely other places where I could get a wider variety of what I'm doing, but I do think the people here and the professors here, outside of what I'm getting taught and learning, in a traditional classroom setting, are setting me up for success in the industry in a way that probably is close to or on par with a lot of the better schools in the country. There's also the benefit of being a part of the battalion and getting that experience that I would not have gotten in another school, and being in a newsroom before I graduate and have that kind of level of skill at one of the top papers in the country and the top paper in the state. The university taught courses kind of give you the basics, and it's like they give you the toolbox, right? So taking all these classes, meeting all these different professors, learning all these different fundamentals, you're kind of adding like your hammer, your wrench, your saw, everything to your toolbox. And then working at the battalion is taking that toolbox and putting it into practice, right? Because if somebody puts a hammer and a wrench in your hand but doesn't actually give you the chance to use them, you understand the concept of how they work, but you've never actually had to use them, so come time to use them, you kind of lost. So the battalion is kind of that outlet, that job, that experience that allows you to take the tools you've learned and use them in a practical and realistic environment, like a newsroom, like it will be when we graduate and go into actual traditional newsrooms. You can have all these tools, but if you don't know how to use them, you're kind of lost and you're stuck. I've learned since joining student journalism a lot of the interpersonal skills. I've learned a lot of how you work on a deadline, of course, but how you help other people meet deadlines, how a newsroom properly functions in terms of communication between multiple different sections and parts, how you communicate with your editors above you as well as people below you. It's hard to say that one is better than the other. Having an experience like the battalion is more essential than having the journalism classes per se, just because, like I said, if you get handed those tools but never get taught how to use them in an environment or in a practical way, you're kind of stuck without knowing how to use them. But it is important to have those tools, because if you go into the job and you don't have a toolbox and you're just kind of standing there and asking for other people to hand you everything, it's tough. But a place like the battalion, they hire people no matter what major you are. So you do get a lot of people who don't have the experience of a journalism class, and they do get taught. It's just a little bit longer of a learning curve. So it's hard to say one is better than the other, but I do think it's more essential to make sure that you have an experience like the battalion where you're in a newsroom, you're actively using those tools that you've been taught.